Hello, everyone. Today is on China Today, and we would like to focus on diversity this time. Now, last time we talked about the geography of China. We noticed that China's geological characteristics is very vast. There are different kinds of geological um, characteristics in different part of China. Um, that makes a very interesting observation that we can draw out from our experience. Uh, we must know that people have to adapt to the environment in order to survive. With different kinds of geological characteristics, that means people need to adapt. Last time we looked at how people adapt to changing a hill into a rice terrace in order to produce grains for their survival. Now that applies to all different parts of China. Obviously, we know that there are areas which is easier to survive and support larger population. And we also noticed that in China, most of the people are concentrated in the East Coast. That doesn't mean that the vast majority of the other areas is not occupied. And hence, with little communication in the past, these people are isolated, form their own unique culture. And since China has been connected to the West through the East, through the Silk Road and the tea and horse routes for millennia. Therefore, there are a lot of other ethnic groups move into China and settle there. And therefore, China has a huge number of uh, ethnic groups. So today we are looking at the different ethnic groups in China. In the People's Republic of China Constitution and law, it is guaranteed that all ethnic groups in China have equal rights. And also, the Constitution helps to promote ethnic minority groups' economic and cultural development. I better put this on that side in here so that I don't have to twist my head net so much. Okay. This thing move to here. Okay. The Constitution prohibits discrimination and acts of disunity. Um, a lot of people will consider difference being the dividing part, but being different doesn't mean there are no common parts. The Chinese culture emphasizes on this sharing of the common parts, the unity, and therefore, constitutions-wise, this unity is actually um, not encouraged or becomes prohibited. Employees shall not be discriminated against due to their ethnicity, race, gender, or religious belief. According to the PRC labor law, employees shall not be discriminated against due to their ethnicity, race, gender, or religious belief. In terms of equal rights between men and women, China is one of the most liberal um, country where men and women are really treated equally. Here's a rough map of the distribution of different ethnic groups. Among the Chinese population, about 91.5% claims to be Han people. Han originate from the Han Dynasty. Now, if you look at the dynasty map timeline, we have the Qing, which is the first emperor. After Qing, there is a brief period which we call the Sui. In the Sui dynasty, it lasts less than 100 years. So the first two dynasty, which united China, the Qing dynasty, the first emperor, which is only 54 years. The following one, which is the Sui dynasty, is also a very short-lived dynasty. Then after that, we have the Han dynasty, which lasts over 300 years. What the first two unified dynasty had done actually last throughout the rest of China. For example, the first emperor, the first thing he did is standardize the written language. Before Qing dynasty, we have the Seven Kingdoms where people are fighting against each other. At that time, each different kingdoms have their own written form, although many of them share the same forms, but they are slightly different among different kingdoms. But first emperor unified that, making all written forms to be the same. He is unable to cause all the pronunciation to be the same because that is here really is a tremendous task. Whereas changing all the literature into the same written form, that also caused a bit of purging. We can imagine that some other people who were originally excelled in a certain written form from a kingdom, which after being conquered can no longer use what their known written language. So there are lots of dissatisfaction. And the first emperor has been very cruel. So any this agreement has been murderously destroyed. So a lot of scholars with different opinion or do not look up to the first emperor were killed. But anyway, that standardized the Chinese written language. And from there onwards, Chinese language has become very stable. And that effect lasts for at least up to today. That is over 2,500 years ago. Another big thing the first emperor did was to unite all the measurements, both in terms of length and in terms of weight. That standardizations, of course, extend into some other smaller levels. But again, unify China, and that has always been the case since the first emperor. So the Chinese measurement has been quite steady, quite stable, and therefore historians today can actually understand what we are talking about throughout our Chinese history when they talk about the how many men shall rise or what is the length of the Great Wall, etc. So that is what had been done by the first emperor, who did it in less than half a century. What follows is the Hui dynasty. This dynasty built the Great Canal, connecting the Yangtze River with the Yellow River. If you look at the map here, the Yellow River runs through China like this. And near the mouth here, the Yellow River had changed course quite a bit. Initially, it was something along that line, near Beijing, today's Beijing, but gradually moved downwards. The Yangtze River go through almost the middle of China and then throw into the sea at today's Shanghai. The Yangtze River path has been quite stable because they go through different ecological areas, and therefore, unlike the Yellow River, which carries a lot of large settlements, causing it to change course, the Yangtze River does. Looking at the latitude-wise, we know that the warmer the area is in the southern region of China, and the warmer the area, the more productive is the agricultural lands, being having more sunlight. Therefore, it is vital to support the north by making shipment from the south to the north. And therefore, the a great canal is needed so that goods from the south, that means the south side of the Yangtze River, can reach the Yellow River region, which is the geopolitical center of China at that time. Therefore, it is vital to build a connection between these two rivers. In terms of carrying goods, it is much easier to carry large volume of goods or larger weight or larger mass of goods on river than by land base. Because remember, at that times, we don't even have today's highways. So they have to go through mountains, go through narrow roads, on mud roads, etc. So the cost of transportation of heavy material from south to north will be greatly reduced by having a canal. The Cui dynasty almost spent its political capital on building a canal. And therefore, as the canal is completed, the dynasty also has been too demanding on the people, causing its collapse. Then the Han Dynasty come along. The Han Dynasty united most of China, a large wash of people, and everyone connect to the dynasty, and therefore becomes the Han Dynasty and call themselves Han people. Now, just two dynasties before the Qing Dynasty, we have 7 kingdoms distributed in China. So they will have belong to different ethnic groups, but all these ethnic groups suddenly all unite together and call themselves Han. And therefore, Han represent the majority of the politically powerful people in the Han Dynasty. They call themselves Han. And therefore, although we call the ethnic group Han as Han people, actually there is coming from many different ethnic groups, but they just recognize themselves as Han people. And therefore, it represents 91% of the current population. There are a lot of other peoples having quite different physical characteristics, quite different to, again, associate themselves with the original Han people. And therefore, they establish their unique ethnic cultures. Today, the Constitution recognizes 55 other ethnic groups, ranging from size of several million people to over 1,000 people. So the ethnic group size varies a lot. Okay, this is a web page I like to share with you. So let me just open up it on a browser for you. Okay, let me just change the share screen. Okay, I'm just going to share the same share screen again, changing it to what's this? Chrome. Okay, share. Here's a white paper from the Chinese government respecting and protecting the rights of all ethnic groups in Xinjiang. Fully realization of human rights is one of the great dreams of all humanity and a goal to which the people of China, including those ethnic groups in Xinjiang, have long aspired. Xinjiang has been home to numerous ethnic groups since remote antiquity, and all the groups in the region are closely related to members of the border family of the Chinese nation. First of all, civil rights. All ethnic groups of the People's Republic of China enjoy equality. All citizens, regardless of ethnicity, gender, occupation, level of education, and religious belief, share the civic rights prescribed by the Constitution and the law on an equal footing. All ethnic groups in Xinjiang, regardless of their population, history, development level, customs, have equal status. They all enjoy the democratic right to participate in the administration of state and local affairs and in all community level self-governance. Upholding a people-centric philosophy, Xinjiang pursues rapid economic and social development. More effort and investments have been made to improve the people's well-being. All ethnic groups enjoy equal opportunities and economic rights and are developing the region together and building better lives. Xinjiang attracts great importance to documenting and protecting its excellent traditional ethnic cultures to ensure that they are passed on to succeeding generations. It has continued its efforts to improve the quality of political culture services and promote the use of standard Chinese. It encourages ethnic groups to learn spoken and written languages from each other and makes solid measures to ensure the rights to education. I would like to add one thing is that most ethnic groups are fluent both in their ethnic groups language as well as the Mandarin or what we call Putonghua or the common language, which is spoken by 1.4 billion people in China. Social rights. Xinjiang has established a social security system that covers all local population. There has been a marked improvement in the region's capacity to provide healthcare services and its response to public health emergencies. People can access social assistance in a timely manner. Reproductive rights for ethnic minorities are guaranteed. Now, China has now released the one-child policy. But during the time when one-child policy has been enforced, this one-child policy only applies to Han people. All ethnic groups do not have to comply with the one-child policy. Now, in terms of national policy, I think that is a policy which put more support to the ethnic groups than on the majority Han people. Women's rights and children's rights. Respect for women and protection of children are signs of social progress. Xinjiang attaches great importance to work related to women and children. It strives to solve the permanent problems they encountered and promotes steady progress in the relevant undertakings. The legitimate rights and interests of women and children are effectively protected. Freedom of religion. Respect for and protection of freedom of religions, we believe, is a basic and long-term national policy of the Chinese government, subject to the principles of protecting lawful practices, prescribing illegal activities, containing extremism, resisting infiltration, and punishing crime. The local government of Xinjiang fully applies the policy, protecting legitimate religious activities and ensuring the public's freedom of religious belief in accordance with the law. Here, I also like to add my own little observation. During Mao's time, at the beginning of the formation of the PRC, up to about 1978, religious activity has been highly restricted. That was true. But since the opening, religious practice is tolerated and then is liberated. And today, people can practice whatever religion they like. But in terms of the religion, in China, the highest authority is the National People's Congress. In the National People's Congress, we elect every 5 years. That re-election will produce the government and all the subsequent authorities. Religious activity in China do not have power over this National People's Congress because National People's Congress is the highest authority. And therefore, religious activity is under the control of the government, in the sense that the government will make sure the religion do not promote terrorism, for example, extremism, example. There are a number of restrictions applied to the religion. As long as the religion adhere to this basic policy, they are allowed to practice. Okay, the last page. In conclusion, achieving equality is one of the constant goals of humanity. Ethnic equality is one of the fundamental principles on which China is founded. The PCP always takes it as its mission to bring equality and happiness to the people, and over the years has identified the path with Chinese characteristics as the best approach to ethnic affairs. As a result, all ethnic groups in China enjoy true equal rights. Of course, we understand what I have read to you is a piece of propaganda. But the most important part about any propaganda is that whether it is true or not. So whether it's true or not, it is an objective fact we can verify by observing what is happening. So let's do that. So I will stop the share and go back to my presentation. Okay, open the share and come back to here. This map is very colorful because it represents some of the so-called major ethnic groups. These ethnic groups, as you can see, are also dressed quite different. They have their unique costume, language, culture, and dance. So let me play you a video. Because there are 55 different ethnic groups, so the video has to be compressed like this. Of course, there are uh, stamps which represent different ethnic groups. This is a paper from the International Journal of Anthropology and Ethnology, supporting the development of ethnic groups with smaller population, the policy practice of China. So I want to highlight here is the Chinese policy on this issue into three stages: the initial exploration, targeted assistance, and specialized planning. So this is a academic study which reflects what had happened and is published on 2023 November. The Chinese government has gone through these three different stages. 晨光像万重相伴，风中飞花灿烂，无语归梦爱传香，执迷爱的小难关，其实你就叫美满，匆匆双飞天未来，还是山有一关，深情如烟多情关，想要过去就勇敢。当你不吹很淡，弥漫心上升，生命最美这一段，我的泪光转了又转。操场弯弯，外有风息，外有风息，爱学校就不散，别笑我看了又看。曾一朵我想不淡，只看不见满心。却浮华就平淡，晨光相伴长相伴。哦耶，层层相飞花灿烂，绿叶茫岸全是烈，真被爱的江南关，其实你就叫美满。深深相在心上留下，肩上中，失去的无言过情关，想要故事就勇敢，经历再多艰难关，情深依旧叫美满。Not only the customers are different, even the food is different. Here we look at the food ranger going to Xinjiang.
Instead of hand-pulled noodles, we're going for a full-on Chinese street food experience. So pumped. When you think of China, you probably don't think of Islam and halal food, but that's exactly what you'll find here in the Northwest. I made my way for a food trip to the dusty and bustling classic Silk Road city of Lanzhou, specifically to try the unique halal food of the Hui people. This is the side of China not many people see, and I came here specifically to have an authentic travel experience through food. I found a lot of food reminiscent of countries further west, insane amounts of lamb and beef, leaving me absolutely speechless. I am dying to try the handful of noodles here. This is why I bought the flight. What I walked into brought me into a dream world. It was like a noodle sanctuary. What you're about to see is the most incredible display of noodle mastery. Words can't describe this. Just watch. This is noodle heaven. I was speechless when I saw them making the dough and hand pulling the noodles. The incredible skills of each person in the long production chain blew me away. You can see the whole process in one line, from kneading the dough to pulling it, boiling the noodles, and filling the bowl with a specialty radish beef broth, some homemade chili oil, fatty beef chunks, and green onions and cilantro. From when you're lined up and you see it all happening to when you take your first bite, you're going to question every other bowl of noodles you've ever eaten. That has this incredibly aromatic essence to it with all of these hand-pulled noodles. It's just like clockwork in the kitchen there. Oh, look at these. Oh, yeah. Oh, that is smooth. That is worth the flight right here. Incredibly flavor-packed beef noodle soup. Huge slices of beef. So fragrant. I've never tasted that type of fragrance before. It's the slurping hot spot here. Oh. And after those life-changing noodles, I made my way into the back alleys of Lanzhou's most vibrant Hui community. I found an amazing selection of street food surprises. But the one thing that stuck out the most was the local street popcorn explosion. This is so cool back here. This old school Hui Chinese neighborhood. And we're gonna see what we can find back here. Oh, 你好，你好，自己做的吗？自己做的大米花吗？ Wow, it smells smoky. Whoa, we're gonna have to get some here. Oh, that's the corn. Homemade popcorn. The homemade popcorn. Roasted over coals. 你放什么香料？糖。加点糖嘛。哦，甜一点。哦，那个是糖嘛。哦，加一点糖。This is so cool. Wow. He's gonna open it. Ah, here we go. Whoa! That's so loud. 我可以尝一个嘛？真的吗？哦，太好了，新鲜的 fresh street popcorn。
Okay, we notice this one here. He is wearing a hat. He is a Muslim. Okay, moving on. This is the 100 yuan Chinese money. 100 yuan today at today's price is about 25 Australian dollars. This is the highest nomination of currency in China. So you notice that in terms of telling you this is 100 yuan, there are the Mandarin Pinyin. There's Mongolia here, Uyghur language here, Tibetan language here, Shang language here. So on this piece of national money, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 language on the back. On the front, there's one language, of course, the 100 yuan in Chinese character. This is the money from Hong Kong. It has 2 languages, the English version as well as the Chinese version. And you notice that in Hong Kong, the money is issued on behalf of the government by different banks. One of the banks is, of course, the Bank of China. And the other banks which have the right to issue money is the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation, or simply called HSBC. Another one is the Chartered Bank of Hong Kong. And the third one is Hang Seng Bank in Hong Kong, and so on. So different banks in Hong Kong can issue Hong Kong money. But in order to issue a certain sum of money, the bank is required to put the equivalent amount of foreign money, foreign currencies into Hong Kong's government's central control. That means Hong Kong dollars are 100% current foreign currency back. We notice that we have the English version, even the Hong Kong Chinese Bank, Bank of China, Hong Kong has its Chinese and English. And the Chinese part is in the traditional Mandarin form. And then the Chinese characters here, Chinese character as well as English. That is the unique Hong Kong environment being one country, two system. We talk about the religious rights. So the mosque or the place of worship represent a significant part of the religious activity. China is the place where the concentration of Muslim mosques is the highest in the world. The first mosque for Muslim came into China in 627 CE. In 2014, there are 39,000 mosques in China. An estimate of 25,000 mosques are found in Xinjiang, representing one mosque per 500 Muslims. This is a very high concentration of mosques. So here's a list of mosques from Wikipedia. So let's quickly go to there as well. So sorry, let me set it up and then we'll share the screen of it. Okay, I'm stopping share here and then share again. Zoom. It's my Zoom. Yeah. Okay, share screen. This time I'm sharing the list of mosques. Yeah. This part I've captured and then we'll look at the mosques in different province. Beijing, Zhejiang, Fujian, Guangzhou, Guangdong, Canton, Guangxi, Harbin, Heilongjiang, Hong Kong. Hong Kong had one mosque. It hasn't got the picture. It is in Xinjiang, Tsim Sha Tsui region. And then in Mongolia, Macau, Ningxia, Qinghai, Shanxi, Shandong, Shanghai, Tibet, and so on. Of course, there's quite a number of mosques in Xinjiang, Yunnan, etc. Besides Muslim, of course, there are Christianity. Christian faith came into China since the early medieval period, represent a significant presence around the 7th century. But it re-entered China probably in the 14th century, 16th century, and becomes more prominent. Accurate data on Chinese Christians is difficult to assess. In 1947, at the time of the formation of PRC, it is estimated to have about 4 million. Today, in early 2000, there are approximately 38 million Protestant and 10 to 12 million Catholics, representing a very significant portion of the Chinese population. But remember one thing, China is one of the countries with most atheists, people who do not have a religious belief. Another important part of the Chinese culture related to Buddhism. A lot of people say Chinese culture is the mixing of three philosophy. If we treat Buddhism as a philosophy, it is part of the Chinese main culture. The other two is the Confucianism and Taoism. So Tao or Taoism is another important aspect of Chinese culture. The Chinese culture is a mix of these three combined together. In China, Buddhism is the most recognized religion. At the moment, about only 4% of Chinese adults, 42 million people, formally identify as Buddhists, and 10% identify with any religion. So the Christianity represent about 4%, Buddhism another 4%, and then 2% the rest. Buddhism is deeply intertwined with Taoism, Chinese folk religion, and Confucianism. For example, 33% of Chinese adults burn incense to worship Buddha and other deities at least once a year, and 11% do so at least once a month, according to a certain survey. So although they may not recognize themselves as Buddhism, then when they go into a temple or visit some area with temples, they are quite inclined to present the Buddha with incense. The branch of Buddhism in China has been very much culturalized to meet the Chinese culture. Buddhism is one of the 5 religions recognized by the Chinese government. Taoism, this is local. This originates from the philosopher Laozi. Laozi is said to be the teacher of Confucius. Both of them exist about 500 BC. They have met, and Confucius recognized Laozi as his teacher. And in this idea, we believe that everything has a way, and this way represents our understanding of how the world or the universe works. And in this, there are the qi. Qi is what is guiding all every living things in the universe. So as long as we are harmonious with the qi or with Tao, then we will have a harmonious life. That is Taoism. Okay, let's look at some temples. Tao's temples. They are usually built either at very scenic place or very difficult to reach place. This one is very modern. Okay, so we see people actually is worshipping in a mosque.
Albert, I've got a question. Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Um, in China's history, there's been quite a few, as I understand, uprisings of Muslims in various areas of China. Now, in the West, as we all know, um, Muslims have now migrated to, all of lots of Europe and England, America, Australia, even, and it seems like the radical Islamists have infiltrated all these communities, and they want to radicalize the Muslim communities there and maybe make a Islamic state under Sharia law. Now, is China concerned that, particularly in Xinjiang, where I think China needs that area to go through to reach the Silk Road for trade, um, are they concerned that because in Turkmenistan, I think it's called, or some, there are some radical Islamic groups there that are considered as terrorists by the West. Is China concerned that that could happen in, say, Xinjiang, and they would maybe want to secede from China and prevent China from trading through that area to Asia?
Yeah, it actually happened. I think I can't remember exact date. About 10 to 12 years ago, there was a terrorist attack by the Muslim, the extremists, in some of the train stations in China with long lives. And about 150 people, around that number of people actually was killed. Then China recognized the extremist Muslim is a problem. And hence China has now take a different approach from at least America after a terrorist attack. You will look at, for example, 9/11 in 2001. Of course, we know that two airplanes hit the two towers in the World Trade Center and caused them to collapse. But on the same day, that afternoon at about 5:30 local time, Building 7, which is much lower, not that high, also collapsed onto its own footprint. So after this terrorist attack, U.S. invaded Afghanistan, then Iraq, and so on. And we also had the war on terror, causing more terror to other places. The Muslim attack in China happened, I think, after 9/11. I think it's in two train stations. From there onwards, Chinese government recognized that it's a problem, and they started to hold re-education camps in Xinjiang. This is what the Western media tried to demonize. What the Chinese government realized, extreme religious belief exists only when people are running out of opportunities in lives. They are willing to sacrifice their own life because the present life is not satisfying for them.
That's so.
The main
If I could just interrupt for one sec while you mention that. But it is true, though, in the Quran, there are sections that encourage people to create a jihad and change people's way of life. So
yeah,
even if they're happy, they might be happy, but they still are under the control of that jihad
yeah.
philosophy.
Now, I have been reading the Bible with my friends in Cantonese and in English. We are reading the King James Version BBE versions as well as a Chinese version of the Bible. And we have been reading it for the last 2 years, or almost more than 2 years, maybe I can't remember. And we release the episode, about 3 episodes every week. Each episode cover one chapter of the Bible. And we started reading from the Genesis. And now we are reading up to Job. Throughout the reading, there are verses telling the Israelites to kill everything in the town when they capture a town. If we took all these verses in isolation, then we will see that what the Christian God or the Muslim God or the Judaic God, they are all the same. They all originate from Middle East, the same God, but interpret differently. This God actually encourages the Jews, which is considered as God's chosen people. When they capture a town, they kill everything alive. If we took that verse literally, like what happened in, for example, Gaza today, in today's standard, it is not acceptable. So one verse or two in Quran, in Old Testament, or in Jewish books, I think we should try to interpret that verse in some different sense in order to meet today's moral standards. Extreme Muslim might take those sentences as their literal meaning and hence becomes jihad. If that's happened, that's also explain why some Israel soldiers kidnap, rape, and kill children and women in Gaza. So if you want to compare that, you can. But in terms of government policy, as a government, you don't want to encourage that. You don't want to create opportunities for that to continue to happen. So if we can allow the people to have a decent life, a dignified life, allow them to incorporate into the bigger community, knowing how to live together in harmony, in unity. And that's what happened in Xinjiang's re-education camp. And we noticed from different videos coming out, not from the Western media, from independent people visiting China, you will see a different picture. And because of that, I also remember that about 2 terms ago, I talked about leading a tour into China. That is also happening, but I was too ambitious and think I can organize it this year. So probably not, but I'm now in contact with the tourist agent in China, and I want to seek also Chinese government's approval so that we can be visiting places with a lower cost. The main idea is I want to reduce cost. And I want to make it happen about the second term next year. I don't know when I can do that, but I'm working towards that opportunity. At the moment, in order to fight the smearing of the Western media, I think one of the Chinese policy is to allow people to enter China and have a look themselves. And therefore, for any Australian using Australian passport, we have 14 days of visa-free travel in China, and you can travel to any place you like. I want to use that opportunity and to bring uh, about 10 couples, 20 people into China. And my objective is, as I have said earlier, about 2 terms ago, it is a lazy people luxury tour. We wake up naturally in the morning, and then hopefully by mid-morning we can all assemble together and then go out, start to visit some place, and then have lunch, visit another place, have dinner, and then maybe we see some show, etc. at the evening. And one of the requirements I give to the travel agent is I want every meal to be different. She said almost except breakfast. She recommend us to stay in the hotel and use the hotel's breakfast. That will be easier for her. Otherwise, she had to wake us up at the same time in order to gather us together to have breakfast. So I think I will compromise that. So the tour probably is a 2 weeks tour because we will limit by the free visa time scale. So 2 weeks, and we will stay in every city for about 3 to 4 days. And we will travel between cities by high-speed rail. And that will limit our range because I also said to her that I don't want to spend a whole day on high-speed rail. But I also understand that if we try to do it by air, it will be much more expensive. So in terms of compromise between expensiveness and comfort, I will choose high-speed rail. And I said I would limit the high-speed rail to about 4 hours maximum for intercity travel. And that will make us a range of 1,200 kilometers because the high-speed train in China travel at 350 kilometers per hour. So we probably will be jumping 1,000 miles between cities, and then we'll visit 3 to 4 depending on time, and then we'll went into China at one city and then leave China at another city airport. That's my plan.
Put my name down for that, Albert. I'll be interested.
Sorry. I will let you know, let the things happen because I said it about two terms ago, want to do it autumn here. But obviously I was too ambitious. So
how will you let us know? How will you?
Yeah, I will let you know through UVAs.
Oh, okay, great.
Because I want to use UVA as a fledge to get the government to give us discounts.
Yes. Very good.
I told them we are all Australians to come in China, have a look, and let us realize what China really is.
Would love to do that.
It is to them it's a counter smearing campaign.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on. And this one, a family, a British family, husband and wife, with 3 children visiting China. I think I will skip that. And this one is the dance in the Han Dynasty. I think I also want to skip that. This is another dance. I want to skip that. Let me. Now, we talk about different costumes. We also have different music from different ethnic groups. So I will show you some different music. This one is from Guangdong. I personally quite like this one. Um, what's his name? A very famous kung fu actor. But anyway, have a listen to this song. I quite like this. It is in Cantonese.
I'm sorry, Albert, I've got to go out.
Okay, see you. Draw to the conclusion. Sorry about the length of this one. Diversity should be celebrated. Different ethnic groups means different living styles, costumes, music, dance, food, culture, and so on. The difference is beauty, is opportunity, not enemy, not fear. Historically, China is diverse, with many ethnic groups working together. Just like Chinese language, the written form is the same, although carries the same meaning, but the pronunciation can be based on dialects. That's what I want to say about diversity in China. We have different costumes, music, group dance, etc. But it doesn't limit our cooperation. We can still live together and have good life together. Okay, I think today's time is up. And I will stop share here. A few questions, if there's any. Otherwise, we'll meet you next week at the same time. Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, Albert. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.